Live from Iona College, welcome to Sports Unfiltered on the radio. I am your host, Jake DeMisa.
And I'm Joe Sorrentino.
And that's exactly what we're not looking for. We gotta find a better entrance. It's just, we've been doing it for years now, a little simple entrance. Next week we gotta have some spark.
Yeah, but I feel like when you have consistency, that's the key to success, you know? Consistency is key, especially at the catcher position in baseball.
Alright, well, you wanna lead us into baseball, as we always do with these corny jokes. Consistency is key, and there's no one more consistent on the Dodgers than Justin Turner. Obviously hitting a walk-off 3-run homer last night, getting them up 2-0, and I think that series is way over.
Yeah, the Cubs do not look like the same team last year. That's pretty clear at this point. And 4-1 is pretty much telling of the storyline of that game because it shouldn't have been 1-1 for as long as it went, and then obviously Justin Turner takes advantage. Another mess up by the Mets. You know,
well, I mean, if he never went to LA, I don't think he'd be the same player. He kind of found who he was in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I don't think it was Dodger Stadium. I think it was bad coaching on the Mets' part.
Just change your scenery, basically. It's not necessarily the home field, but...
Yeah, but yeah, all right, whatever you say. But Justin Turner is another failed project of the Mets that succeeded somewhere else. Daniel Murphy.
A lot more than Daniel Murphy had a great playoff for the Mets.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, but that's when he kind of got his career going.
Do you think it's steroids?
No, it's not steroids.
No.
He's not that much of a power.
He's too much of a Christian, man.
I don't even know what that means.
No, he is. He's very Catholic. He talks about his faith. Yes.
I've never seen it.
We're very religious. I don't know if he's Catholic.
I mean, I guess when he had his son earlier in the year, you kind of did see that. He missed a lot of days to do religious things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
One of the most telling stat of this series, though, who do you think has the highest batting average for the Cubs in the postseason? They were able to escape the Nationals, I get that. But we're talking about everybody. Who has the highest batting average?
Javi Baez.
Javi Baez. It's a great prediction, Joe.
Because is it right?
No.
Oh.
Because he's 0 for 19 so far in the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
That's a great prediction, right off the bat.
All right, so we got to go. I feel like Kyle Schwarber's had 8 at-bats. So
I'll give you a clue.
Go ahead.
It's somebody that got their first career hit this year. And he's 2 for 8 so far in the playoffs.
First career hit this year. Is it a pitcher?
It is.
Oh, my God. Is it Zach? No, Zach. Is it, Rich Hill?
It is John Lester.
John Lester.
That's telling.
Holy
250
God.
Batting average, 8 at-bats. John Lester, the guy who didn't get a hit his whole career until this year, leads the team in batting average. And I know it's a stupid stat because obviously pitchers don't get as many at-bats, but it just proves how bad the Cubs have been.
I guess it does.
Especially when you have Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. Under 200 batting average.
Yeah.
The two best players on the team done nothing.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just absolutely... Wow. I can't even... It's like... The Cubs are a team that won the World Series last year.
They're not the same
This
team.
is insane,
I don't know
man.
why they're not the same team.
It's...
Because they lost Dexter Fowler?
Yeah, and I remember Madden saying at the beginning of the year, he was like, oh, yeah, well, the reason why our record wasn't as good as last year is because we rested our players a little bit in the first half of the year. They were exhausted. How could you be exhausted from winning the World Series for half a year? Let's be honest here. Come on. I could read through that, Madden.
And last year, going back to the stat I just said about Lester, obviously the pitcher batting average doesn't really matter, but last year's playoff hero, Ben Zobrist, actually leads the Cubs for position players average at 211. 211 the whole postseason, leads the team.
Oh, my God.
And yes, they've stolen games because of Arrieta, because of Quintana, because of...
They have great pitching staff. They have one of the best... They have one of the best pitching staffs in the league. John Lester had a pickoff attempt that worked for the first time, probably in his career.
Well, he's not good at fielding.
No, he's not. But no, it's just a pickoff move. He's got to think about the guy in Major League. Remember the catcher? No, it's more than
the pitcher. Remember last year when he flipped his glove to first base because he couldn't get it out?
All right, but wait. Do you know the catcher from Major League?
Rube Baker.
Yeah, when he reads the articles of a Playboy magazine just to
throw it back to the pitcher.
Just to throw it back to... He needs to start doing that because he is god-awful at throwing over to first base. I don't know how he got him out at first base, but it worked. So...
If you want to make references from that movie, Jason Hayward is basically Pedro Serrano at this point.
Is he playing that well?
He is that bad.
This is the problem with the Cubs.
And I'm talking about Buddha Pedro Serrano, not the good one.
The whole problem with the Cubs is they're boring to watch because they're not doing what they did last year. I mean, yeah, the drought is over. Yeah, you got for the first time. You're forever going to be known as the team that brought a World Series to Chicago again. But let's be honest here. You guys are playing like I don't know how they got into the NLCS. It just proves that how weak the National League is this year.
Yeah.
But
well, no, I mean the Nationals are a great team. They won 100 games, but it proves the Nationals can't win playoff games.
They can't win playoff games.
They can't win series.
They can't. And Dusty Baker's not the manager you want in order to win a playoff game. He's not a good playoff manager.
What did he ever do with the Reds, really? The Reds
he didn't.
Never got anywhere under him.
He didn't do anything with the Reds.
Any wins they got was because of Ken Griffey Jr. in his prime.
Yeah. I mean, it's just whatever.
And that's not even saying Griffey Jr. was great on the Reds, but he did carry them. It was nothing to do with Dusty Baker.
There's so many problems with the Cubs this year. Like there was problems with catching in the game that I watched. Like, I forgot who was catching.
Wilson Contreras, probably.
Yeah, and he just couldn't catch the ball. And I was watching him. It was like 4 balls go by him.
Well, that's been their problem with Schwarber, with Contreras. They keep moving them to the outfield because they can't catch. But they need to get those bats in the lineup in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they don't have Ross, who was a huge piece last year. Nobody gets that.
No, Ross was huge for them. He was huge for the pitchers. He was huge fielding-wise behind the plate. And he was huge in the locker room. Everything about David Ross is huge.
Yeah, and he went out with a bang, and if he wouldn't have retired, I think the Cubs would probably be in a lot better of a situation right now.
I think the only real catcher they have on that team right now is Alex Avila, and that's not saying a lot.
Yeah, and I mean they got rid of who'd they get rid of?
Montero.
Montero
complained about not getting at bats.
Well, I mean, if you could hit the ball, then maybe he would get some at bats. And then where did he go? I forgot where he went, but he did pretty well where he went. I'm thinking maybe Arizona or something.
He started with Arizona. It sounds right because that's where he started his career.
Yeah.
I have no clue where Miguel Montero went.
Well, let's move on from the series because I think we know where it's going.
We got to talk about Kershaw, though, don't we?
No, well, it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing because Game 1 of this series and the last series with the Dodgers, yes, they've won every game. Yes, they're undefeated. But Kershaw has continued to struggle in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. If we beat to death the topic of Clayton Kershaw being bad in the playoffs, it's not going to get any better. You have pitchers that can't pitch in the playoffs. It's just how it is.
But when you're the best pitcher on the planet, maybe...
Okay, so is Chris Sale. Chris Sale's up there. Chris Sale's number 2 in many people's books. And he's just not good. Neither of them. Neither of them can pitch in the playoffs. It's clearly something wrong with them mentally. That's their faults. They can't pitch in the playoffs. It's a game. You go out there and you pitch it like you would any other regular season game. If you let the pressure get to you, I'm sorry, but it's going to put a huge damper on them as pitchers career-wise.
Yeah. Well, they're lucky they have Kenley Jansen because he's been perfect so far, and if they didn't have him backing up pitchers, they wouldn't be 5-0 so far.
Just think about this. Clayton Kershaw routinely gets compared to Sandy Koufax. I'm sorry. You can't win playoff games. You're not Sandy Koufax. I think that's pretty clear at this point. Sandy Koufax came in every day, and he used to take Saturdays off. He used to take Saturdays off.
It's a different era. There's more talent now hitting.
Okay, I'm sorry, but Sandy Koufax is one of the best pitchers of all time.
Sandy Koufax is
Are you
one
going
of
to
the
take away
best.
Ty Cobb's stats because he played in 18-something?
He's 1900s, Joe. It wasn't that
19.
old.
It's a long time ago. It's a long time. You can't. There's nothing. You can't.
I'm not taking away anything from him. I'm just saying there's more talent batting now than there was back then, and it's now the long ball is so prominent that one home run can ruin your whole game. Back then, you didn't see it as much.
So are you telling me that Clayton Kershaw is a bad playoff pitcher because of the talent of hitting? Even though he could strike them all out during the regular season.
Now, strikeouts are up, obviously.
Yes.
Runs are also up.
Okay, but not a game. Playoffs, Jake. We're talking about playoffs here.
The best lineups in baseball.
And he is the worst playoff pitcher in the league. He's terrible.
I wouldn't say in the league.
I would not start Clayton Kershaw over anybody else in the playoffs that are currently in the playoffs. I would zero.
So you wouldn't start Clayton Kershaw over Charlie Morton tonight?
Probably not, because
you're out of your mind.
I'm sorry, but Clayton Kershaw is terrible in the playoffs.
You are out of your
Charlie
mind.
Morton, I haven't seen pitch in the playoffs. Let's give him an opportunity. Seriously, I really have. Listen, Clayton Kershaw is obviously an ace. Put him on the mound 162 out of 162 regular season games. But here's the problem: can't pitch in the playoffs. And when you can't pitch in the playoffs, that is seriously going to hurt him in the future because I'm pretty sure he's going to get a new contract sometime in his career.
No, obviously, yeah. He's going to become the most paid pitcher ever.
And what's going to happen? They're going to say, we're giving you $3 million less a year because you can't pitch in the playoffs.
And because you're always hurt.
Yeah.
Every single year he gets hurt.
Yeah. I mean, Madison Bumgarner, I still think, in my opinion, is the best pitcher in the league and probably going to go down as one of the best pitchers of all time because he could pitch in the playoffs. He came in, when San Francisco was in the World Series, he pitched, listen to this, he pitched the day before I think it was Game 6 or Game 7, and he pitched the 8th inning in the next day. Are you kidding me? And he was bet your buddy was an ace. He was an ace.
Yeah.
He's an ace. He is an ace. He's the guy I would want to build my team around.
Because he's the most clutch pitcher in the playoffs.
And he's one of the best regular season pitchers, too. He's great. And he's slumped on a bad team. We're not talking about bad teams. We're talking about playoff teams. Now let's move on to the Yankees and Astros, because that's an extremely important series that's been a lot closer than the Cubs-Dodgers.
I guess before we start talking about that, we could take the moment to talk about our Diamondback-Indian prediction, how that went real well.
It's fine. I'm glad the Yankees won. I'm a New York Yankee fan, so it's not really gonna. I'm openly admitting my bias, so you're not blinded by it. So the Yankees, got down to 2-1. They lost a heartbreaker.
Well, they lost the first 2 games 2-1. Yeah, and they were 2 completely different games. That's what I just said.
First 2 games 2-1.
Yeah, they were 2 completely different games.
2 games.
2 completely different games.
Sure.
First game they couldn't hit Dallas Keuchel. It took a late home run from Greg Bird, which didn't even matter at the time. Basically, might as well got shut out. But last game, they were actually in the game, obviously. Justin Verlander gave up a run early.
He did.
Yankees actually had the lead, and then, obviously, was eventually tied. Chapman blows the game on a bad play by Judge, Didi, and Gary all around. They all made a mistake on the same play.
It was a heartbreaker. It was just, you're talking about looking at the future of the Yankees, and right there, it's just all three. And listen, I do have a problem with the fact that they didn't win a game away, and you really need that away win to start the series. Going down 2-0, this is not the same team as the Indians. This is a team that explodes offensively, and the Yankees have been doing a good job. They've been shutting them down, but they are also being shut down. It's sad. And watching Luis Severino pitch that second game, and now I'm really scared for Luis Severino.
You have to be. You got hit in the arm before that.
He got hit in the wrist, the left wrist, and we don't know what's happening with that. There hasn't been any news on it.
We don't even know if he came out of the game because of the line drive that hit him, or because of why Girardi came to the mound before that.
Yeah, there's got to be a factor of both, exhaustion and that, but I really don't. I don't know. For the first time, this is actually the second time, but they surmounted Cleveland. Could they do it again? No.
Even if they don't, obviously, you have to say successful season for the Yankees.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the season right now.
Yeah, it's not over yet. I'm saying, obviously, it's going to hurt for all Yankee fans out there if they lose this series, but within 2 weeks of it ending, everyone's going to look back and say, this team shouldn't even make the playoffs this year. It was a rebuilding year. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you had Judge come out of nowhere. You had the pitching do much better than anyone thought.
And Judge is another player that's going to ruin his name in the playoffs.
Nobody talks about the guy anymore, but when Michael Pineda went down midseason with Tommy John, and the Yankees were struggling to hold the playoff spot, everyone just called the season right there. Great start, finally falling off. But no, the team came together. They had each other's backs all year.
They had Gumbo.
And Montgomery was great. And they made the playoffs. They won that twin wildcard game. They had a 2-0 comeback. They've done everything this year that no one expected.
Yeah, and could they do it again? Could they pull the rabbit out of the hat again? Maybe. But this Houston team is really just absolutely something else.
But I do think CC can outduel Charlie Morton. And I do think Sonny Gray can beat whoever comes out there Game 4. It's just after that.
But the question is it Game 4, if they're going for the sweep, does Keuchel come out on short rest?
If they're going for the sweep, yes, but I don't think Charlie Morton beats CC. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean...
With how close the first 2 games were in the series, you have to expect the Yankees to win the first home game, and you have to expect CC, who's been your workhorse, to beat Charlie Morton.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to Charlie Morton. He had a really good year. He bounced back from all his struggles with the Pirates, all his struggles on the Phillies. I mean, he bounced back.
And let's talk about something else, that there's a glaring difference between these two teams, and perhaps between the Cubs and Dodgers, too. We forgot to bring up Wade Davis, who... Let's not talk about Wade Davis. We could talk about the bad Houston bullpen. Because
that bad Houston bullpen's yet to give up. That's not true. The Bird homer against Giles, but it didn't matter.
But the Houston... If you pit these two teams against each other on paper, the bullpen obviously goes to the Yankees. starting rotation
obviously.
right now is probably split. And the lineup, I think, very clearly goes to Houston, because Houston has a well-rounded lineup. But the Yankees lineup could explode for 11 runs at a time. The Astros lineup could seemingly explode for 20 runs at a
The
time.
Yankees lineup is never going to explode if Aaron Judge is striking out every at-bat.
Yeah, and he's been absolutely... like I said before, he's another player that just can't perform in the playoffs. Listen, Mr. October, Derek Jeter, his replacement, Didi Gregorius, he's going to be Mr. October V2, because he single-handedly won that Cleveland game in the last game, and he has been playing excellent since that game. He's been playing great.
I gotta correct you on that so we don't hear it. Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. Mr. November,
Mr.
Derek
November, Derek Jeter. Mr. October. Listen, sorry, because I was thinking about it and I was like, wait a minute, Mr. November. I'm sorry, not yet. Didi's not Mr. November yet, because we're not in November.
Yeah.
Will we ever be in November again? Probably not, with the way the playoff schedule is.
If you get to like a 6 or 7, it's early November.
Yeah.
But even
Mr.
Didi, you
October.
can't be calling him Mr. October because he had a really clutch game with a 2-homer game. He had a homer in the wild card game.
But that's how Reggie Jackson got his nickname, the 3-home run game.
But Reggie didn't bat 185. Didi has actually struggled, and he's yet to get a hit in the ALCS.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Aaron Judge has 19 strikeouts and 31 at-bats, and people are going to say he's getting his walks. He has 6. Is that really getting his walks? Not really.
Yeah,
Every 3-2 count, he's striking out.
You're talking about a whole lineup that's struggling. Starlin Castro, listen, there's so many people that say Starlin Castro is a player that looks great on paper, but is terrible in real life. And to that I say boo-hoo, because he's actually pretty good in real life, to be honest. So, there's really not, I think he's been playing actually great. I mean, he's been hitting for the Yankees.
Yeah.
So
You're talking about a whole lineup struggling, but you're not talking about, Cub bad. I mean, look at this. Aaron Hicks, Greg Bird, and obviously Brett Gardner has been phenomenal in the playoffs. Brett Gardner had the big 12-pitch at-bat the last series that won them the game. The thing is, if those 3 guys play well and Judge can just turn it around and Gary can turn it around, the series isn't over. We all know that. But can those young guys step up?
yeah, it's all dependent on that at this point.
And you can't talk about the Yankees lineup without talking about that DH spot because it's been pathetic.
Terrible.
Chase Headley, Matt Holliday, Jacoby Ellsbury. You know what they are this series?
They have to have 3 hits.
They are 0 for 27.
No. There's not one hit that came out of that
There's not
team.
one hit.
Jesus.
And I got something better for you.
Oh my God.
When the Yankees made the wild card game 2 years ago, the DH did not get a hit. So, the last DH to get a hit for the Yankees in the playoffs, Raul Ibanez in 2011.
Oh my God.
And we're in the ALCS.
No.
Yes.
Raul Ibanez in 2011.
Yep. That's proven.
Wait,
Yep.
they don't have any hits in the playoffs this year.
They don't. No Headley.
That is just...
Headley's about 0 for 12. Ellsbury's 0 for 9. And then Holliday had the bad game 0 for 4. Might be a little more than that to reach.
It's getting to a point where, you look at this DH spot, and you sort of wish the Yankees went out and got into an Encarnacion.
No, it's getting to the point where if you're not going to hit in the DH spot anyway, why is Gary behind the
loss of
plate?
Beltran, too. That's huge.
Yeah, but why is Gary behind the plate? Why is Gary Sanchez not DHing, and why is Austin Romine not catching if you're not hitting in the DH spot anyway?
Because Austin Romine is the type of player that goes on tears, and listen,
it's not about the hitting though; it's about the fielding.
There's a chance he goes on a tear, right? Let's think about this. There's a chance he goes on a tear in the playoffs, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but even if
you can't take that big risk.
You're not getting
Matt Holliday should have started right after he had his final at bat in the regular season. Listen. Stats for the regular season go away in the playoffs. That's how it's been.
Yeah, but Matt Holliday at this point of his career hits lefties. That's it. And I'm not talking about Dallas Keuchel. He's not going to hit Dallas Keuchel. I'm talking about Liriano. When Liriano comes in the bullpen one of these games, Matt Holliday needs to be pinch hitting. That's what his role is now.
Yeah, but Joe Girardi had some magic in the Cleveland series after he made that blunder.
Yeah.
It's tough to manage a team without a DH.
But you're not getting what I'm saying with Romine. Romine doesn't need to go on a tear. If the DHs aren't getting hits anyway, the whole point of him...
So yeah, let's just put another guy who can't get a hit in the lineup.
You already have the whole...
Why is Clint Frazier not playing?
Is he even on the playoff roster?
Yes, he is. He is. He's in the playoffs.
I don't know why he hasn't gotten an at-bat.
Exactly. And let's ask Joe Girardi. Hey, Joe, why hasn't Clint Frazier gotten an at-bat? Oh, let me tell you, because I can't manage a professional baseball team. All right. Are we done?
To get Frazier in the lineup, where would you like him to hit? You want him to DH because he's a great fielder.
I don't know.
And Hicks has been great. Gardner's been great. Why don't you bench Judge a game? Teach him. Maybe if you bench Judge a game, he's clear his head.
Or bat him sixth. Why is he batting second? Why
That's
we
true.
Most at bats? Listen, Joe, if you're out there, can anybody hear me? Please put Aaron Judge sixth.
Put Austin Romine in the lineup.
No, Tom.
Yes.
Listen,
Catch
you can
Austin
stay away
Romine.
from Austin Romine, but putting Aaron Judge sixth is probably the best take on this. We're done. We're done with baseball. We have tonight to decide for at least the Yankees and Astros. This game decides the series pretty clearly. Astros win, they move on to the World Series. Probably going to be the same thing in the Dodgers-Cubs game because the Dodgers and Cubs play tomorrow.
And next Monday we'll be here with the results, basically.
Yeah,
We'll probably have started game one.
And the Dodgers-Cubs play tomorrow, and that's probably going to decide the series too. If the Cubs could pull off magic, obviously there's anything can happen in the World Series. But if you have a Houston Cubs World Series, Houston's going to make the Cubs look like a little league team. And if there's a Yankees Cubs World Series, then we have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But for now,
that's big money.
We're done with baseball. We're going to kiss this sport goodbye. We'll see them play tonight. Houston Yankees, 8:08 p.m. Game 3. That decides the series. But you know how to say.
I wouldn't say it decides the series. It decides the series for Houston. No,
yes, it decides the series for Houston.
The Yankees win Game 3. They're not back in the series yet.
Well, what happened last time?
Win 3 and 4.
Magic.
We'll talk. Win 3 and 4.
3 and 4. All right. So this game decides the series for Houston, and if
of course,
if
Yankees aren't coming back to Rio. I don't care if they're 4-0 in elimination games.
If the Yankees win tonight, then tomorrow night's game for the Yankees will then decide whether or not the Yankees will have a chance in this. And I really think Houston, punch your ticket to the World Series. The Yankees have been struggling. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some hockey.
Of course.
We're going to get some big old news. The tear of the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Devils being a shock, and
the New York Rangers.
The New York Rangers
not being a shock to me.
No, okay, all right. Unpredictable New York Rangers being absolutely horrible. We'll talk about it when we come back.